Yeah, it's important to understand this about money. A lot of people don't know it. Money is a measure of wealth. Money is not wealth. Money is like inches. Dollars, let's say, are like inches. They are a way of measuring real wealth, which consists of material resources plus energy plus intelligence. That's wealth. Money represents it. And so, therefore, we don't realize that as our wealth increases as a result of an expanded technology, we have to provide enough money to circulate it. In other words, we have to pay people for the work done on their behalf by machinery, because otherwise the manufacturer won't be able to move the goods off the shelf. Now that seems an outrageous idea, frankly in disaccord with the Protestant ethic. You mean give people money? Where's the money going to come from? Well, money never did come from anywhere. It's like asking, where do inches come from? It's simply a question of realizing that technology was invented to save labor. That doesn't mean in order to dismiss your employees. It means to let them have a vacation. In other words, a shorter work week. And for you yourself as the owner, less to do, so that you can go and gaze at the moon or make love to your lady friend. And why not do it? Well, everybody feels guilty about it. So they think, having archaic minds, when we didn't have this technology, that they got to go on behaving the same way as when machines didn't exist. But now we have them. But we won't use them, except in silly ways. Like, for example, rushing around everywhere in automobiles, polluting the air. You know, you don't really have to commute in most businesses if you have a telephone. Ever thought about that? You don't need an office. You don't need to go rushing around, exhausting yourself and getting absolutely furious in the traffic jams on the freeway. You know, we're all getting furious about things we can do nothing about. You know, we read the newspapers and look at TV and see the disasters occurring all over the world and feel upset and mad, and there's nothing we can do. Well, why waste your time? Pick up the telephone. It saves you the cost of a secretary, the fag of mailing stuff, sticking stamps on it, going down to the post office. And if you count up all the hours, you'll realize that the electronic method of communication, that is the technology, is much less expensive than the ordinary way one goes about things. It's like an automobile is a mechanical imitation of a horse and carriage. It's completely irrational. Now, I was referring to the fact that everybody needs money. And while this is the system, while this is the social consensus, everybody doesn't need money. But while it is the social consensus that that's what we all need, let's be frank about it. And not say, therefore, of the person whose interest is in higher things, whether it be academic, religious, or artistic, oh, you don't need money, because your satisfaction is surely in doing your work. The only people who need money are the people who are miserable at their work. Because they're there to make money. Let's drop the hypocrisy. The scholar, the artist, in this context where everybody has to have money to live, needs money just as much as everybody else and should be paid accordingly. This applies particularly to the teacher in the schools. or whatever, you know, people who are put down and saying, oh, you're a teacher, or you're a clergyman. You don't need money because you live on the Spirit. That's rubbish. But we are living under conditions where money, as I have tried to explain, is not understood, where it is not seen for the fiction and the useful fiction which it is. And so what do? We have income tax, which is the most absurd system of accounting ever conceived. Have you ever figured out what it costs to pay income tax? Not just the tax itself, but the cost of paying it to yourself and to the government. It's colossal. And I raise the question then, why do it at all? Why doesn't the government simply take off the top as much money as it needs and issue the rest? It'd be much simpler. Oh, the silly business that torments everybody would be cancelled. And the Department of Internal Revenue and all its officers, they needn't be frightened of losing their jobs, because they could simply be the officials who work it the other direction. In other words, they could be the dispensers of the money to everybody to pay them for the amount of work done by machinery on their behalf. I mean, doesn't that make sense? What we've got against this is not, as it were, an intellectual or mathematical block, but a psychological block. And don't see that that is the inner meaning of technology. To save labor. And there, of course, we get into great metaphysical depths. But so far as the business of the matter is concerned, I think what I have said thus far should commend itself to your careful consideration.